Do you want to make your side-by-side UTV street legal but you don't know where to begin? I'm Kanan from Dirt Legal, and today we're going to walk you through the process from A to Z. In this video, we're going to cover the laws concerning this conversion, the parts you're going to need, and we're going to throw in some tips along the way. It's really not that complicated for drivers with moderate mechanical skills and basic tools to complete this conversion. Now, when you think of street legal, you should automatically think of having headlights. Headlights are going to be required for your UTV to be street legal. Now, thankfully, most UTVs already come with headlights, and if you have a UTV with headlights, they probably have standard halogen bulbs that probably aren't going to be great for on-road use. They're typically designed for off-road use, and the bulbs aren't going to be very bright. One thing you might consider doing is adding in a set of LED headlights. That way your headlights project a better beam further out, and it's easier for you to see and other drivers to see you. Just remember that red and blue are typically illegal in most states, so stick to white just to be safe. Now, the next item on the list is going to be turn signals. Now, adding a set of turn signals to a UTV is really not that complicated. There are going to be kits available for a complete turn signal assembly, which comes with a standard wiring harness, indicator lights, fuses, relays, all in one nice kit. Now, these kits can range from less than $50 to over $150 depending on what is included in the kit. Now, rear lights typically on UTVs come standard. However, if you need to install one, there are kits available to bolt directly to your UTV. The catch on this is that it's going to vary state by state what is actually going to be required for your UTV. For instance, in some states, you need to be able to see your light 300 feet away, and it must be a red light so that if your bulb burns out, you can still see the light from other drivers. Some states don't require that you have a reverse light, but if you do have one, it must emit a white light. Now, it's common practice to use an LED pod light for your indicator lights on the rear, and we can't say that every state is going to be legal, but it definitely helps to see where you're going, especially on a dark road or trail. Now, most states often require some form of a horn. You must be able to hear that horn from 200 feet away. That is going to be hard to meet as it's written, but just know that your horn needs to be loud. Most UTVs come with a horn, but if you need to install one onto your UTV, there are kits available, and you can probably find a really good selection at your local motorcycle parts store or at an online store. They'll typically plug in directly to your battery or perhaps into a cigarette lighter on there or a USB, so they'll be really easy to install into your UTV and make you legal to be on the road. Now, typically horns will also come part of a turn signal kit, so that makes adding a horn to your UTV one of the easiest mods you're going to be able to do. Now, beyond there, most states are going to require that you have a laminated DOT-approved windshield for your UTV to be street legal. The aftermarket is unfortunately pretty thin when it comes to laminated DOT windshields as a kit for any UTV, but I would check to see if your state law is a requirement or you can get an exemption just to be sure before you add a kit that you may or may not need. Now, even if your UTV is not required to have a windshield, they're a great option to add just for safety alone. It'll provide you safety from the environment and from road debris, and it's going to be a wise investment for you to choose to do. There may be alternative options than a windshield available. Just check with your local state DOT to make sure whatever you choose to do is going to be legal. And just remember, even if you have a windshield, you may be required to wear some form of eye protection and a helmet just to meet your state's local DOT. The tires are one thing that's often overlooked when you convert a UTV over to street legal. Most UTVs won't come stock with DOT approved street legal tires. In that case, you may need to install a DOT approved street tire. Now, if you're unsure if your UTV came with street legal DOT tires, check the sidewall to see if it says DOT, and that means they are going to be street legal DOT approved tires. If not, you can probably find a great aftermarket solution to swap on there, and they can also find a street legal aggressive tread DOT tire for your UTV. Using DOT tires is going to be much safer, and you can still have off-road performance. Just remember that adding larger tires and wheels to your UTV may make it harder to keep up in traffic because you're adversely affecting the performance of the UTV. Now, once you get your new license plate through Dirt Legal, you'll need to display it properly. Now, if you check your local DOTs, it may stipulate that the license plate can be no lower than 12 inches off the ground, no higher than 60 inches off the ground, It must be displayed within 24 inches of the center of the UTV, and it can't swivel or move. Now, thankfully, off the internet, you can probably find a great solution to be able to mount your license plate to the back of your UTV. Just be sure whatever selection you make, puts your license plate front and center for easy to see, and nothing blocks any of the letters and numbers. Now, your local state may require a license plate front and rear. Be sure to check your state's DOT to see what is required and any bracketry you need to be able to be legal in your local state. Now, if the kit you choose does not come with a license plate illumination lamp, you'll need to add one of those separately. And be sure to add something like an LED, which is a slight draw on the battery and the charging system, which makes the installation a breeze. Your UTV also may need to have side mirrors to be able to reflect up to 200 feet behind you. Just know that you may need to install one if it's not supplied on your UTV, on the driver's side, perhaps on the passenger side. And because there may be a blind spot behind you, you may want to install a center into your UTV to be able to see directly behind you. Most UTVs are going to also come standard with at least one lap belt for safety, like a seat belt for the driver alone. Some will come with multiples for passengers, but due to the openness of the UTV, you may want to install a complete safety harness, which will give you a lot better option to keep every driver and rider safe when you travel. The UTVs are very light and they're also prone to rollovers, so having a nice safety harness like a 5-point harness will be awesome to keep every driver and rider safe as you travel through traffic. And speaking of safety, most UTVs do come with some kind of a roll cage. Now, if your UTV does not, I would suggest looking for an aftermarket kit to install to your roll cage. The cage itself is going to offer a lot of protection, and added into that 5-point harness, you're going to have a lot more protection for the driver and the passenger or anybody else in the vehicle. Now, while all those items are going to be keeping you safe while you're riding, that doesn't mean you're going to do great in traffic. Typically, UTVs are not made for street riding, and a lot of times their charging system is not enough to keep up with heavy-duty kind of stop and go traffic. Now, normal road going vehicles have an adequate charging system that is able to power a slew of components on the vehicle, plus also charge their large batteries. UTVs, because of their kind of stop and go and their low speed on trail, aren't typically made to power a lot of components, nor are they supposed to have a large battery to kind of run in heavy duty traffic. Be sure to do your research to understand if you need to add a larger alternator, a secondary battery, or upgrade the stator in your UTV to make sure that you have at least 60 amps available to charge all your components and your battery while you're driving. And the last thing we'll mention here is that your UTV may or may not have a locking differential, which can be controlled by the driver. You may be able to push a button to lock or unlock the differential, making both wheels or one wheel turn under power. If that's the case, you have a push button, you can just unlock the differential on street riding traffic. It will give you a little bit more safety. And if you don't have the option, there may be aftermarket kits available where you can add that option in for a low cost and a little bit of time to make sure you have a little bit more safety on the road. Now, although you may not need all these parts that we've mentioned, having them is going to keep you and your passengers safe while you're on the road. The one thing we haven't mentioned is that you're going to need a license plate. And getting that license plate is extremely easy through Dirt Legal. At Dirt Legal, our service is extremely simple. Simply place your order on the website at the link down in the description, enter your vehicle information, and fill out the paperwork that we send to you. You're going to return that paperwork with your title or bill of sale. We're going to send it off to the DMV on your behalf, and in a few weeks, you're going to have your registration and license plate. That way, we'll take care of the DMV portion, and you can spend your time doing anything else other than talking to the DMV. When you're ready to get your UTV street legal, licensed, and registered, let us at Dirt Legal handle all the headaches with the DMV on your behalf. No more playing phone tag, no more wasting your time searching for the rules in your local states. We will handle everything for you. We can register almost any UTV, whether it came with the title or an MSO, and we offer a 100% money-back guarantee if we cannot get your UTV registered properly. If you have any questions on if your UTV is going to be street legal, you can contact us at orders@dirtlegal.com, and we also have a customer service number available 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern to handle all of your questions. So converting your UTV over to be street legal is pretty simple, and you're going to be able to do it. If you have any questions, give us a call at the 1-800 number in the video description, or check us out at the link in the description. We'll see you next time.